It's really exciting doing a Blizzard announcement here because ever since we started BlizzCon, we've been doing almost all of our announcements there. So this feels a little more old school for me, which I think is really appropriate considering what I brought you guys here to see today. So I want to talk real quick about just some of our history and how Blizzard has grown over time. So these are some of the different games that we've worked on over the last 10 plus years, and below that is the amount of developers it took to make each of those games. The World of Warcraft one's a little deceptive because that's what we launched the game with, and I think now the World of Warcraft team has 135 developers. So, I think we've really made our reputation as kind of this almost a game industry version of the summer blockbuster company where we just make bigger and bigger and bigger games. But something that we feel like there's a lot of games we haven't had an opportunity to make because we're always kind of shooting for these super huge epic games. So we wanted to do something a little bit different just within the studio, and we created a new team. And we have really clever names for our teams. We call them Team 1, Team 2, Team 3, Team 4. And each of those game teams have been attached to either StarCraft 2 or Diablo 3 or World of Warcraft. And we want to make a new team. So I'm sure you guys can guess what we called the team. Team 5. So Team 5 is very, very different than the 4 previous dev teams that we've created at Blizzard. It's only 15 developers, which is smaller even than that StarCraft number, which I showed you guys. And we really wanted an old school team of scrappy and versatile developers that were very multi-talented and could do different disciplines. And we wanted to have a team that could experiment more, doesn't necessarily have to rely on building brand new technology, and really try to just come up with a different style of games. So then the question was, if we had a team like this of 15 developers, what is the game that we would make? And we had to really think about that a lot because we want to make a game that was really small, a little bit different than we've done in the past, and not something that we'd have to spend 5+ years developing. So what I'm going to show you guys here is the introduction movie for the next game that we're releasing.
It is said that wars are only won upon the anvil of honor.
Others believe victory requires strategy and a mastery of power.
War is deception.
A game played best from the shadows.
Only strength and raw power can assure total dominance.
But of course, you could forget all that and just have fun! Hearthstone, Heroes of Warcraft.
So Hearthstone, that is, and we're setting it in the Warcraft universe, and obviously what it is a strategy game based on, it's a collectible card game, and you'll be able to play as World of Warcraft classes, and it's our first free-to-play game, which has been something we wanted to really experiment with a while. We've seen how the industry has really changed, and there's lots more free-to-play games, and we thought, here's this great opportunity to really do something a little bit different for us and make a game that it's been really fun internally to play. So I guess the first question that a lot of people ask, especially when we first tell people internally what we're working on, is why a collectible card game? And the reason is that I think a lot of people at Blizzard have really played collectible card games for a really long time. A lot of us, I remember playing Magic the Gathering when I first started at Blizzard, and there was a huge crew of people that would always be playing it, and there's been so many card games since then. But really, I don't think there's been a lot of great translations to make digital or online card games. And that's something that Blizzard's always, I think, done really well, is look at something that is already a really fun game, but maybe it's a little bit hardcore, and how do we make it much more accessible and make it something that anyone would play, not just us hardcore CCG nerds. So the approach that we had was really, again, kind of the typical way that Blizzard approaches problems is we look at what's really awesome about the genre? What's really awesome about this type of game? But what are the reasons why, kind of normal people or other people would always pass in this sort of genre? So, the rules are usually really complex. It's very hard to explain to somebody. Like, if you guys have sat down with, let's say, the World of Warcraft trading card game or Magic the Gathering and tried to explain it to somebody that isn't already into it, there's just all these rules you have to explain, and it's usually really difficult. So, we really want to approach that and make it much more intuitive. If you look at, hopefully a lot of you guys have seen what we've done like World of Warcraft compared to the previous MMO games that are out there, and we really want to do the same thing with Hearthstone and make it really that online game that's really simple and intuitive to play. And then, we also want to make it really exciting to watch. If you look at a lot of the CCGs that have made it into an online digital form, they still look like card games. They don't have interesting special effects. They're not necessarily fun to watch. They're not as exciting to watch players go back and forth, and that was something that we thought was incredibly important to us. So I'm now going to show you kind of a demonstration video of just the beginning of one of the games, so you can kind of see a lot of what I'm talking about and how this isn't just what a card game you might have seen in the past, from other makers. So you can see like right away that we're using 3D technology so that it's not just a flat 2D board, and the board itself is animated, and we really want to bring in a lot of the charm of the Warcraft universe. And there's your warlock. So you can see down the bottom of the screen is Jaina, she's a mage, and up the top of the screen is Garrosh, who's a warrior. And we really want the game, for World of Warcraft players, we want the game to be really intuitive. So if you come to this game and you already are used to playing a mage, you have mage creatures, you have mage spells, and you can very quickly and intuitively understand how to play the game. And there's the warrior who pulls out a big weapon, and now the warrior himself can go and attack. And you can see it's just a lot more dynamic game than I think what a lot of the card games out there are doing.
I will crush you.
And there at the end was, when you play multiplayer, players will actually be able to do verbal emotes to each other. So you can kind of like taunt each other or tell each other they're doing a good job. All right, so now I want to talk about, what is a collectible card game all about? Well, it's about collecting cards. So we've really put a lot of time and effort into creating a really cool and interesting card collection that's really fun to actually collect and build decks with. So in the initial release, there's going to be over 300 cards in the collection. And the way that you'll get new cards is through getting booster packs. So when you get a pack, it's going to have 5 cards in it. And the way you can either earn packs through playing the game, or you'll also be able to buy packs, which is part of our free-to-play model. We haven't decided yet, the exact amount of money that it's going to be per pack, but it's going to be somewhere around $1 is what we're guessing. That's kind of what we're testing right now, and then we'll probably be fine-tuning that throughout like the alpha and the beta. But we also want to make sure that players can earn packs. So even if if you're someone that doesn't want to spend any money on the game, it'll take you much longer to build your collection, but you'll still be able to just week by week earn more and more packs and add to your collection. And then there's obviously going to be many, many different types of cards. So there'll be different rarities. There'll be basic and expert cards. And then within kind of the expert set, there's going to be commons and rares and epics and legendary cards. Kind of going with the same sort of verbiage that we use in the World of Warcraft with the item system. So one of the challenges that I think you have when you start creating a collectible card game and you want to do it online is you want to capture how fun it is to open a new pack. I think if you have a physical card game, that's a lot of the fun. You go down to the hobby store and you're excited to get that new pack and you rip it open. You kind of go card by card to look at each one and see, did you get a lot of cards you already had? Did you get that card you were really hoping for? And then you rip into the next pack. And we wanted to capture that as much as possible with opening a pack digitally. So the team has really spent quite a bit of time with how to do that, and I'll show you kind of what it looks like to do that within Hearthstone itself. So it's obviously a lot more dynamic, and even before you turn a card over, it will glow underlit if it's going to be a rare or legendary event. So you can see, you know, taking this thing into the digital realm, we can do kind of some fun stuff that you can't really do in real life. We can really celebrate that fact when you get a legendary card or an epic card. And we also do fun stuff too. So, you know, people are a little bit superstitious. So, you know, you can kind of see the underlining of when it is a rare card or an epic card and decide, do you want to open that card right away or do you want to do the other cards first? And, you know, just add a lot more kind of ceremony to the opening a pack. All right, so we also added this concept of card crafting. So card crafting is really the best way to fill out the rest of your collection, or if there's one specific card that you're looking for, to get that one card. You know, because the way that the game itself works is that you play as a hero. So you pick a hero like a mage or a hunter, and then oftentimes, you know, as you're kind of building out your deck, you'll have a strategy where you want a very specific card that you want to fill out your deck with, and this is where the crafting system really comes in. So the crafting system, again, something that's really common in collectible card games is you'll get a very large collection, but just because of the randomness of opening in packs, you'll often get a lot of duplicates, or you might get cards for a class that you're not as interested in because you're really focusing on your hunter class. So with crafting, what you're going to be able to do is you're going to be able to disenchant all those cards that you're not interested in and duplicates that you're not interested in, and then you'll get arcane dust, which then you can accumulate and then pick the exact card that you want to build and craft that card. So I'm going to show you kind of quickly a video of how that looks within the game. So I think that's a really good example of a player that really wanted to nuke a lot of his collection so that he could build Deathwing, which is one of the most powerful cards in the game right now. So then after you've collected a bunch of cards, opened a bunch of packs, maybe you've crafted a few of the cards that you're really excited and interested in, well, now you got to build a deck, you know, which is, again, a lot of the fun of these sorts of games. But it's very challenging, I think, trying to go from that starting a game and understanding how to play to how to build an interesting deck. So that was another design problem that we really wanted to attack. And we want to make it easy to create decks. Because, you know, there's just, again, a lot of rule complexity. So one of the things that we have in the game is, you know, when you go to deck building, there's a suggest a card mode. So you can go through and, you know, there's kind of a tutorial mode that will go through and suggest different cards and help you build out a deck. You know, make sure you have low mana cards, make sure you have creatures, make sure you have class-specific abilities, but still give you choice within that, but just narrows that choice down so it's a lot easier to grasp and build a pretty interesting deck until you're ready to really, you know, build a deck completely from scratch. And then there's also like tools to evaluate your deck, where, you know, it kind of shows you as you're building your deck how many 4 mana cards you have, how many 5 mana cards. So it just, you know, really tries to help you evaluate your deck on the fly and make good decisions. And then the last thing that we have in there is, you know, you can actually just have the game itself create a deck for you. So you can just decide that you want to create a hunter deck or a mage deck, and then the game will create a deck based on the card collection you have, which is often really useful early on when you're collecting packs, and, you know, you just added a bunch of expert cards, or you opened 3 more packs, and you just want the game to kind of insert a lot of those cards into your deck. Oftentimes it will. And then the other thing that's really cool is that all three ways of creating a deck you can combine really at the same time, and I think that will be a really common way for people to create their decks. And what this video is going to show is exactly that. So at the beginning, the person's picking their own cards. So they're going to go through and pick their class, which is a rogue, and then they're going to initially just pick some of the cards that they want to make sure that's in their deck. So they're going to pick some higher end abilities for the rogue with higher mana costs, and then once they get those abilities in the deck, then they're going to go into kind of suggest a card mode. So now you can see they decide to start getting cards suggested to them, which now you'll just kind of get different choices. So there's looking for class-specific cards, and just choosing from 3 different cards that are class-specific. Now it's looking for cards that are a little bit cheaper because it realized that the deck, you know, is really lacking those low mana cards that you need at the beginning of the game. And now they just want to complete the rest of that, and the second half of that just gets completed automatically by the AI. And then you can see the tool, and then went ahead and named the deck the Mulan Rogue. And that is deck creation. All right, but the core of the game is really about playing the game itself. And this is the area that we just want to make it a really fun and dynamic game. And it's focused primarily on just on one-on-one. So you'll go into the game, and it uses BattleNet matchmaking, which has been something we've really been evolving for years and years now. And I think the matchmaking system is really great and should really help out a lot for novice players that end up playing against novice players. And then you can duel online each week. We have a whole medal ranking system. And the main purpose for the medal system is just each week you can kind of earn medals in the game. And as you earn medals, that's how you earn new booster packs. So it should be a fun system, kind of week to week. You re-earn your medals, you re-earn booster packs, and that kind of validates the amount of time that you've been playing the game. And then the thing that we really wanted to attack with this was to keep it really simple, but still have lots of strategies and be very deep. So what the team has really done a great job with is look at all those mechanics that you'd see in your typical CCG, or let's say in the World of Warcraft TCG, and pull out all those really complex rules or weird rules that maybe make sense when you're just playing a hobbyist game face-to-face, but when you really want to do a mass market online game, it doesn't make as much sense. But that doesn't mean that you have to sacrifice deep strategy. So what I want to show you guys next is a shoutcasted game. So one of the things that we did when we were showing this at Blizzard was we got some of the more expert players to play games against each other, and then we do a shoutcast, kind of like you would see for StarCraft 2 or like a World of Warcraft arena match that we've done at BlizzCon. And I think when you have the shoutcast, it really kind of shows how much depth and strategy and how exciting a game can be. So I'd like to welcome to the stage my lovely assistant, Ben Brode, who's going to be our shoutcaster.